Good morning, everybody. This is Siren at SirenSongGaming. I wanted to get started, since all of the new updates, with a new video on how to survive in the Long Dark. It's not a fancy topic, but with hearing a couple people said they wanted to get involved in the video or in playing, but they're not quite sure how to do it. It's a good time for us to sit down and say, hey, let me do an intro video. This game is a lot of fun, but there is a pretty steep learning curve on it, I would say. Unless you do Wintermute, there's not a whole lot of survival tips given. And even with Wintermute, they don't give you some of the more what I would call advanced tips that we've figured out as people that have played this for long periods of time. So I did want to see if this video would help anybody. So let's get started. First step, I would say, is picking which type of adventure do you want. With it being your first time, do you want something where you can explore the maps, get used to it, or do you want to go full throttle? Um, I would say, unless you're a gamer that thrives in games that are meant to be full throttle, so unless you're that guy that jumps or gal that jumps right to legendary difficulties and things like that, maybe look at Stalker if you want a good challenge to get started. But if you're kind of like me and you're a little bit hesitant to get started and you're just looking to see what the game's about, maybe try Pilgrim or Voyager. I would say, to be honest with you, Voyager is a nice balance between finding, like figuring out what the maps are, getting your way on things, because getting lost can get you killed, I'll be honest with you. Voyager offers a lot to loot, but does still present some difficulties with wildlife. So, I'm going to recommend you start, potentially Voyager. We're going to start on Stalker just because that's the difficulty I tend to play on, and it's a little bit easier to show you what to do in situations because the stakes are a little bit higher. So we're going to do a Stalker, and it's just going to be a one-off Stalker. I'm not going to continue playing this one, but it's just going to be um, a Stalker map um, for this. And next thing would be, where do you want to drop in? So if you start on Interloper, you don't get the choice. It's going to drop you somewhere and you need to try to figure out your way. What I would recommend for first-time players is either Mystery Lake or Mountain Town. Both of them are pretty heavily infested with wolves, so maybe Mystery Lake versus Mountain Town. I think Mountain Town has a lot more wolves. Both of them are really good beginner spots. I personally like Mystery Lake better because there's a lot of food available. Mountain Town, the same could be said, except that there's not as plentiful fishing and things like that. Mystery Lake, if you find some scrap metal, you can make yourself fishing gear and so on and so forth. So we're going to start Mystery Lake just because that's my go-to start. So we'll get started here. Basically what's going to happen is it's going to drop you in one of the general spawn points on this map. You're going to have to basically, I would say in order of importance, you need to get warm. You need to find food, find water, that kind of stuff. You can survive without food as long as you have enough to eat at night, but we'll get there. I'm not going to put any feats on just because we're going to take this as this is your first time playing. You won't have any of these feats. These feats are actually earned as you play through the game. So you can see that there's some here that are pretty useful, I would say. And it's something that you can farm for. I mean, if you know that there's one that you like, you can, really work on doing the tasks to get there. So one of them is like efficient machine. I just don't have yet because I don't have a 500-day play. There's efficient machine. There's book smarts, which is reading books. Cold fusion, which is spending time outside. Free runner, which is running a lot. And then snow walker, which is just traveling in the game. So we're gonna skip this for now since you won't have one. So we'll get started here. It's going to start you with this thing that says, it gives you a brief, like a very brief overview of what happened. So a mysterious geomagnetic storm has brought your plane crashing down into the northern Canadian wilderness. How long can you survive? The thing is, eventually you're going to die. It's one of those games, I don't know if you've ever played Project Zomboid, where it says this is how you die. That's kind of this. I mean, you can survive for a lot of time, but um, I think the thinking is that eventually you're gonna die. But we're gonna try to beat that. So we're spawned in here. The first thing I usually recommend is if you're in a safe spot, it's not blizzarding, because sometimes that does happen. Look around, see what's around you. Look in your inventory. So what do we have so far? So this first tab here is, sorry, if you are on PC, if you hit I, it'll bring you right to your inventory. I believe it's one of the start buttons or the select button on Xbox. I would say that if you're not sure, go into your menu and check your control bindings. If you're on PC, I can give you the keys as we go. But if you hit I, you'll open up your inventory. Inventory, this is this page here. So it's going to be your, this is everything you have in your entire bag. Or you can sort it by each topic. It'll tell you what you're looking at in the top. See how it says that one says food and drink, this one says tools, materials, clothing, first aid, fire starting, and then all. So what we've started with so far is okay, I would say. It's pretty average. We have a bedroll, which is pretty crucial. You can't sleep anywhere without a bedroll, so you need a bed of some sort. So some places will provide you with a bed that you can sleep in. Others, if you can put down your bedroll, you can sleep on, but you can't just sleep in the snow. You would die of hypothermia. So you need a bedroll to sleep anywhere. The game mechanics just don't allow it for you just to lay down and sleep somewhere. So we started with pretty decent stuff. I don't know that I'll keep anything but maybe the plaid shirt, but we started with thermals, which is nice, and then warm socks. So next thing I would say is take a look at your environment and what time it is. So right now, for me, if you see in the upper right-hand corner, it's going to get dark soon. So we actually got a pretty unlucky spawn there. And there were, because it's getting dark, they went away, but there were some crows right above this gentleman here. There's a dead person here. Next time we see crows, I'll point them out a little bit better. But in the air, there were some blackbirds circling up above here. And anytime you see those, there's a dead corpse of some sort underneath of it. That's handy to know, because most times there's a couple items you can find on or around a frozen corpse. Otherwise, it could be a dead animal spawn, or something that you've killed. So it is kind of important to know where you are. Speaking of where you are, if you can find a stick, a single stick on the ground, kind of like this, there's a bit of a trick you can use. Most maps, if you throw a stick on the ground, so you go to action or drop it. When you drop your stick, not my pants, we're going to put those back on, not how those got dropped. Most of the time, your stick is going to point you north. So if you know for a fact that wherever you are on the map, north is a good place to go, or south is a good place to go, or east, west, whatever. If you know that, even though you don't know where you are, if you can get towards that side of the map, you can get your bearings pretty quickly. So with the stick, the single side points north, and the double side points south. There are some maps where that is not the case. If you go, I can try to put it in the video description here. There's a website you can utilize that will allow you to pull up a map of each region. And I actually do recommend this. I don't think it's cheating. I think it's using your resources and learning your maps. Hopefully at some point you won't need that map. But even like here, I'm not exactly sure where I am. So we're going to go up high and see what I can see. That's typically my go-to, is to see where I am. What can I see? Are there any structures immediately around me? And if there's not, stay up high, because in the higher difficulties, there's wolves, there's bears right off the bat. So in the lower difficulties you get, I believe it's a full day where there's no predator spawning on the map. So if you did spawn into Mountain Town or Mystery Lake on the lower difficulty, you could potentially find something that can help protect you against the wolves. Right now we don't have anything, so we want to make sure we stay out of reach of them. I'll show you how to deal with them shortly. You really, if you can get your hands on a torch, or make yourself a torch, and a rock, you can keep yourself pretty safe. And I'll show you guys that trick soon. First things first though, the indicators at the bottom of the screen. So bottom left-hand side of the screen, you have your, basically your survival indicators is what we'll call them. So from left to right, sorry, I'm just trying to navigate as we talk. I think we're down by Trapper's Cabin, but I could be wrong. I think there's a dead guy down there. So from left to right on the survival values, left is your temperature. The icons make it pretty easy to tell what they are. So you have temperature, which you can see is actively dropping. Yeah, we're down by Trapper's Cabin. Okay. We need to go this way. The next one over is your restfulness. So because you're out here surviving, your stamina is a thing you need to worry about. There's Trapper's Cabin there. That's where we're going to sleep tonight. The next is water. So you need to stay hydrated and you need food. We got pretty lucky and we got spawned in with pretty much full meters for everything. Sometimes it doesn't happen, where you'll spawn with slightly less. We actually spawned in with full indicators, and to be honest with you, I don't know that I've kept track of if that spawns like that every time, but I'm pretty sure I've had spawns where I don't spawn in with full. So I think there is a randomness to that, but somebody can correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. I'm happy to learn things as well. It's not really a big deal either way. The biggest part of this game is always going to be managing those. So right now, see how the temperature is now red? We're cold. And if we stay this amount of cold, you get hypothermia risk the way we have it now. Basically, your body temperature hit what I would call 0, so it's as cold as you can be. If you keep it low, you'll get hypothermia. Which then you need to get inside, stay warm for a certain period of time. It's not a huge deal, but it's a big enough deal. So now we're inside Trapper's Cabin. Let's see. We can, it's dark, so we'll just sleep for 8 hours. And I would like to loot it in the morning. So you can see now that we've been warm, our indicators are back full again for warmth. We've healed our hypothermia risk. So ideally, you want to sit inside, get warm again. Usually you can get warm pretty quickly. What I would say is make sure you're not spending too much of your time indoors. So try to split it, as much as you can. The idea is the game wants you to keep moving through the game. And there's a couple reasons for that early game. But let me talk about something else first. So now it's dark in here. We can't see anything. I could start a fire, but it still won't light the whole area. So what I'm going to do instead is if you actually click on a bed, you have two options. You can sleep in the bed, or you can pass time. In this situation, because we are fully rested, we cannot actually sleep anymore. It won't let us. But we can pass time. And if you look at this indicator down the bottom, resting in this bed gives us a warmth bonus. So we'll be 9 degrees warmer if we lay in this bed versus if we just rest not in this bed. So right now, this will tell you all the things you need to know. This box is actually really important. So the feels like temperature is the temperature that it feels like with you in this bed. Or, I'm sorry, is it the one outside or is it in the bed? Feels like 35 so it feels like 40 in here. So that's, the feels like is the outdoor temperature plus the bed warmth bonus. So right now, laying in this bed will make it 49 degrees for us, which is pretty good for us. There's also, if you're not sure how warm you'll be, if you click on your clothing, what you're wearing will give you bonuses. So if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, we have a plus 7 degree warmth bonus, which is pretty bad. We have some wind protection bonus, so on and so forth, whatever. So if you think about it, with our clothing, so plus 7, plus 40, so 47, plus 9, 56 degrees is what we would be sleeping in, which is pretty safe temperature to sleep in. If you're not sure, you can sleep for an hour and see what happens. I'll show you that later, probably after this. So we're going to pass time for a couple hours. Your calorie store is what you have in your belly right now. So right now we have about 1,500 calories as it slowly ticks down. It's 100 calories per hour to pass time, or it's 60 calories per hour to sleep. So if you can sleep, it's usually better to sleep. But if you can't, let's just pass time for a few hours. We're going to waste about 300 calories, but we can't see anyway. So we'll go up to 5 because it's going to stay dark until we get past 5. Even if you run out of calories, you can survive for long periods of time. There's a trick you can utilize. We don't want to be thirsty though. We need to make water. Crud. Okay. So we need it to be later outside because there's usually some firewood in here. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. Nope, not that. Stop it. Let's sleep for another hour. We're gonna take some damage, but that's okay. It's early game. We can get it back. So now we can actually see what's going on in this cabin. So this is Trapper's cabin. Trapper's cabin, if you've played Wintermute, is the cabin that you go to with the guy with the bear. When he gets mauled, you bring him back here. This is his cabin. So, books are good. Books are good for starting fires. We're going to start a fire because we need to. In order to start a fire, you need some way to start the fire, matches, fire starters. You can start with a torch or a flare. If you find a flare, you can actually start it with a flare. And some form of some source of something to keep it going. So these crates you can break down by hand. You can also break them down with hatchets or saws if you have them. We don't have one. I'm sure that there might be one in here, but we're going to do it without it. So these crates, you can actually go up to them, break them down, and you'll get reclaimed wood, which is burnable. And there was a firearm cleaning kit inside of that. So that's good, because if we find a gun, we'll need to clean it to make sure it's in good condition. Here's some bandages, which are good for if you get bit, if you twist an ankle, whatever. What we need right now is, in order to boil water, you need something to put it in. So we're looking for a can of something we can eat, which is right here. So we found a couple cans here. Actually, there's a magnifying glass behind this safe. Magnifying glasses are actually kind of cool because they'll allow you to start a fire outside in bright daylight for free with no matches. So they're good for long game. So pinnacle peaches are pretty good for eating. When you pick up any type of food, the information that pops up will tell you a lot about the food that you're looking at. So the pinnacle peaches are good because they are 450 calories. The condition, the little star there, is going to tell you how good it is. So like most food you would kind of find laying around, how good does it look? This one is rated at 94%, which is it's safe to eat. Different foods, I would say the safeness to eat you'll find over time varies. Anything that's basically white is usually pretty safe to eat. There's certain foods that don't ever go bad. We'll do a video on that later, but so pinnacle peaches. So this is a perfect example. So we pick up this condensed milk, and it has 750 calories, but the condition is 20%. We could eat this, but there's a chance that we'll get food poisoning. Food poisoning is not a huge deal, but you need antibiotics to get rid of it. So once we find antibiotics, we can take a shot and try to eat it, but I wouldn't do it beforehand. Here's another great example. So Summit Soda. Summit Soda will never make you sick. I've never gotten sick off of Summit Soda. I won't say never, never, but I personally have drank Summit Soda at 0% and been fine. So soda's good because it gives you water and it gives you calories. So we're gonna drink this right now. From this menu, you have three options. You can take the item, you can leave it, or you can drink it. If you hit spacebar, we're gonna drink this. And this will just stop us from losing health, from being dehydrated. And then we found some coffee, which is pretty good. We'll take it. Coffee's good. We'll explain what coffee's uses are later. So we have the things we need to get started. Let's start this fire. I don't think we need that. So, you're going to approach your fire. If you're indoors, to find a wood stove, whatever. Otherwise, if you go into your radio menu, on PC, it's the spacebar. I'm not sure what it is on Xbox anymore. It's one of the buttons, but it still looks like this. So you would want to go down to Campcraft, and there's an option for the fire. So you would hit this. It's going to tell me, because we're indoors, we can't start a fire indoors. But you would hit this button. I'll show you guys outside. We won't start it outside, but I'll show you outside. So you would come out here, go over to fire, and you would place it on the ground here. Place it wherever you want, and then it'll bring you into the menu that will be on inside. Okay. So, inside, we're not going to keep looting for right this second. But, got some bullets and stuff in here, which is nice. So, we'll go over to the fireplace. Sometimes there is actually a can laying around here, which will be helpful. We're going to start the fire. So we don't have many options for ignition sources. With the magnifying lens, it's going to tell you that it's not going to work inside, so you have a 0% chance of success using a magnifying lens. When you get into this fire starting menu, you can see basically what you have, what each item is going to do to help you out. So when you start a fire, the top right hand banner here, so from left to right, you have fire starting base chance. This is based on your fire starting level. We haven't started any fires yet. So this first one's going to always be tricky. The first level is pretty tricky. With our current set of equipment, so with matches and the book, whatever you use as fuel is going to give you a better indication of the estimated fire duration. For example, stick is only going to give you 7 minutes to start, but it gives us a good chance of success. So that takes us to the next category. What are our chances of starting this fire? So with a stick, our base fire chance is going to stay the same. It doesn't matter. Base fire chance is based on your experience level. But depending on which materials you're using, you can increase this chance. We don't have any wooden matches, but wooden matches help increase that chance a little bit. We're using cardboard matches because it's what we spawned with. So sticks will give you a 55% chance. Books, because they're paper, they tend to be a lot more flammable. Books are really good when you're starting to get your fire skill up. So this book is going to give us a 75% chance to start this fire. If we're really in a bad way, we do have an accelerant in our pocket, which is the very last. This one's always optional. So we could use this accelerant and bring it up to 100%, but I don't really think we need to. We're not freezing. I try to keep at least one accelerant in my pocket for a situation where if I can't get a fire started, there's a chance I will die. So we're going to give it a shot with 75% with the book. It's going to start this menu. You are going to start trying to make this fire now. at 85% or 75%, there is still a 25% chance we won't succeed. And that's okay. So now we succeeded. Looking at the fire menu next thing is really important. So if we open up this menu, or if you hover your cursor or look at the fire, it'll tell you there's 11 minutes remaining on this fire, and it's only giving us a 4% bonus. There's ways we can fix that now, because we obviously need our fire to last more than 10 minutes. A couple different options when you click on, if you actually click on the fire. I believe it's, I usually just click on it, but on PC or Xbox, there's a way to actually open the menu. I should look these up for you guys. Next episode, I'll make sure I'm prepared. So we can add fuel, which we're going to do. Now, as you go to add fuel, each item at the top left hand, it'll tell you how much is actually left on your fire, what you have. So let's add some things. So at 3 minutes, we're going to add a stick. Stick is going to give us 7 minutes. Reclaimed wood, we're at 9 minutes now. It's going to give us 30 minutes. And then firewood, so there's two types of firewood. So there's cedar firewood and there's fir firewood. The cedar, I'm going to let it get to 35, just to make it easier. So at 35 minutes, when we add a cedar log, because this is an hour and 34 minutes, so it essentially gives us an hour. And I believe fir gives you an hour and a half or 2 hours. Excuse me, sorry. We're not going to add the book because we're going to keep it, but I think the book gives you about 10 minutes or something along those lines. So now that we've added our fuel, when we look at this menu again, we have an hour and a half of burn time. And now the fire's a lot warmer because we've added things that are warmer than a book to it. So we're at 22% Fahrenheit is what we're adding to. Now it's 22% warmer in this room than it was before. The closer you get to the fire. It's a gradient. So now we have a couple options. We stand up, we can click on the cooking slot, and we can either we can place something or we can make water. We must have a recycled can in our inventory. We did. So if you select the recycled can, it's going to bring you into a menu and teach you how to make, or so you can make water. So water is really important. It is heavy, so I try to ration how much I carry. But in a can, you can make 0.13 gallons. We're going to cook that, and it's going to start boiling. There's 2 phases when you boil water. There's boiling snow to water, and there's boiling basically non-potable water to potable water. When we go back to items that don't have great condition, there's a trick where, did we not pick up that condensed food? Here it is, okay. Oh, I can't put condensed, never mind. You can take, so like if you had a can of Pinnacle Peaches that the condition was a little bit lower on it, you could stick it on there and warm it up and give yourself a warmth bonus. And oh, here's some antibiotics. So we could eat the sketchy foods. We're gonna loot the room while we talk about this. But you can warm up food. If you have a piece of raw meat and the condition is yellow, if you cook that raw meat, it'll bring the condition up and make it. I think it'll bring anything up 50% when you cook it. So if something is at, we'll say 25%. If you cook it, it'll go up to 75%, and that makes it safe to eat. Otherwise, it'll bring it and make it safer to eat. So you're not eating something that's at 0%, you're eating it at 50%. Which if you need to eat it, you need to eat it. So it is what it is. You need to eat to survive. And you just take the chance of, I might get food poisoning, and that's okay. So we're looting around this room. I'm just dragging and dropping things on the bench because I want to talk about certain things next. Anything that has a lock indicator like what's on this locker, you need a pry bar to open, which we don't have yet. We can always come back and open this later. If you try to open it, it's going to tell you it requires a pry bar. They are blue, and we'll find one of those at some point. But First aid is important, so we want to check this first aid kit. So we found some painkillers, which are good. We did find antibiotics as well. We're going to check our can. So now we're at phase 2, so we have non-potable water, which you could take this off right now. If you had water purification tablets, they come in a blue box. You could stick some of those in half a gallon of water and purify it that way. We still have fire left. I figured we would just leave this like this. So that can sit and boil away. We still have some water left. It's not a big deal. Next thing I want to talk about is the items we just found. So in this room we found simple tools. Simple tools are handy. They're good for basic crafting and repair. So you can actually take these and fix certain items in your inventory. And we'll show you exactly how to do that once we find something that's repairable. But we found a flare, which is great. Flares are good for keeping wolves out of reach. If you don't have a torch, these are good to have. And the best thing about these is that they work in wind. So with a torch, if you are walking around with a torch in your hand and it gets really windy, the fire's going to get blown out, but it won't blow this torch out. So I try to keep these for as a last resort. We also found some ammunition. So in the game there's guns. So there's revolvers, this is what the ammunition for that is for. You can find any type of ammunition. You can find it as a single bullet, like what we found this this rifle cartridge as, which is one singular rifle cartridge, or they come in boxes. So this one has 10 rounds of revolver ammo in it. So we're going to take it. Oh, I always take ammo, no matter what. And we found a sewing kit. Sewing kits are important because you need a sewing kit to be able to repair clothing. So the condition on our clothing wasn't the best. So we need this to continue to mend clothing. The dusting sulfur is a compound used for crafting ammunition. I'm going to leave it here for now. We don't need it. But there's a nifty thing in the game that you can actually utilize that will tell you, like, you can make notes of things for yourself. So our water is now done. If you click on it, it says potable water, and it's 13 minutes until boiled dry. You don't need to immediately run over here and grab your water. You just need to grab it before it boils dry. So now we have water. We can drink this, same thing. We can take it, we can leave it, or we can drink it. We're going to drink it because we're now red. So then we're going to add more water to your can. We have 21 minutes left on our stove. What do we have that we can break down? So when you go to break things down, this takes 30 minutes. That won't work. Everything we have in here takes 30 minutes, but I think we have some extra reclaimed wood in our pocket. Let's throw this in here. Now we have 47 minutes on this fire. Sometimes, and this is something I just saw, the game likes to put things in really sneaky spots, so it's worth looting corners, nooks, especially in areas you're not familiar with. Because right here on this chair is another revolver cartridge. They like to put things in really sneaky places, and it actually makes it a little bit fun to find items. So now with this fire, we have about 10 minutes until the snow melts, and another about 15 minutes or so until we can get inside, or until we can get water out of it. So usually in these situations, I would say take 5 minutes. Let's go outside and see if there's any sticks on the ground. They're free fire time. It's only 7 minutes, but it's 7 minutes you didn't have before, and it takes nothing to pick them up. So these are basically free fire time. And a lot of times, if I don't have a lot of stuff in my inventory, I will just pick up sticks. On the harder difficulties, it's nice because it's a lot of calories if you were to go and try to knock up some of these other ways to get firewood. So these branches here, when you open up the menu, it's 10 minutes to break this down for 3 sticks, which if you have time, sure. But it also, if you look at that menu, it takes 34 calories to do. And right now, our current calories are only about 530. To me, that's not really worth the cost when I could take a couple more steps and there's probably a stick on the ground. So don't ever be afraid, ashamed, anything to make your fires with sticks, because it doesn't matter how hot your fire is to boil water or to cook food. How hot the fire just keeps you warmer. The only time it matters what temperature your fire is to keep you warm and when you're going to forge items. And that's a different topic for a different day. So we found a couple more sticks. We didn't find as many as I would like. We could go up that way and look for more, but it's not that important. So now we're back inside. I want to check our water. We have 8 minutes left on our water. We have our 5 sticks. We'll throw our 5 sticks in there. Gives us about an hour. It's not a whole lot, but it's enough. That's another batch of water for us. The next thing you can do is if you click on this water, say that now I don't really have anything else to do, we can hit space and pass the remaining time that's left. If you're going to do this, make sure you double check, make sure you have enough time on your fire to do that, because your fire will go out with an incomplete item if you don't have time. So if you hit space, it's going to pass the time, and now our water is ready. Let's put another can on. And while we're waiting, I'm going to show you how to open a safe. So opening a safe, you click on the dial. On PC, it's your directional things. You always want to go, you're going to basically go left, but you're going to twist the dial. The dial's going to twist left. So you're going to go twist this dial until, I don't know if you saw that, we'll go back. If you miss your first tumbler, you need to go back to 0. So past 0. Same thing as a regular combination lock. So you have to get 3 numbers correct in this. So now we've gotten our thirst is 30. And you can see that by there's a sound, there's a click that it makes. And now you'll see tumbler 1 is unlocked. Now we have to go the opposite way. So now we want to go right. And at first, don't be afraid to go slow. So that one was 41. So now we need to go back past 0. We can go. So it was 30. Now we have 2. The last one was 36. Okay, so we're back to 0. This thing is so snicky sometimes. So once you get the 3rd number, you're going to get the option to open the door. You need to actually land on the last dial, and the lock has to unlock, and then you can open it. So we found some boots in here. These are actually what I would say, in my opinion, I'll say, are the warmest and the best boots in the game. You'll get people that have opinions otherwise, but these are really good boots. They're warm, they have good mobility, they're easy to fix. So those were a good find in this safe. And we got a stimulant, which is actually good. It's kind of like an EpiPen, I would say. So that's good to have as well. So we found those 2 things. The safes are generally good to open. They're free stuff. They don't take any resources to open them. So I always take a few minutes and open them. Our water should be done now. Took us a while. Yeah. So our water's done. I'm gonna make some more. We're gonna eat our can of peaches so that we can have a second can. So now we don't have a can opener in our pocket, so we smashed open the can. Now it's gonna tell us. So up at the top, we smashed the can open and 15% of it was lost. That's okay. If you have a can opener or if you have a knife, you can actually open cans with the can opener and lose nothing. Or you can open, oh, that's right, you don't get a can for smashing open cans anymore. Well, that sucks. Okay, never mind. Can opener gives you a can, and I guess the knife gives you a can, but if you smash open a can, you don't get the can, which I guess makes sense because you smashed it open. So now we're stuck with still one can. We're learning as we go together. They've also changed things as the updates roll through. They changed some small things like that, so that might not be relevant anymore. This note on the ground is just a survivor note. That's why we keep skipping over it. There's the text if you want to read it. You can pause for a second and read it. Basically, the backers in this game were allowed to submit some things. Oh, our fire's going out. No! Our fire went out. Okay. Well, our fire's out. That's okay. We still have some safe water to drink. What time of day is it? We should get out of here. So there's nothing left in this building for us. We could stay here if we really like to, but there's not enough resources for us to sustain ourselves here. And there's better places we could go. So we're going to get out of here. So what's next? That's basically, I would say, the end of this short episode 1. What we would do next is find our way to the next area. This is a good place to stop for video 1. We survived night 1, showed you some basics about fire, and that sounds good for me. But guys, I appreciate you hanging out for this video series. This is going to be a video series. It's going to be a small one on how to survive. But we'll get started on the next one next time. I'll try to have the controller stuff up so I can reference it for other players as well. I'm sure that'll be helpful. But guys, appreciate you guys hanging out. If this was helpful for you, go ahead and hit that like button. Consider subscribing. My channel is geared towards newer players, so I try to put content up that's helpful to new players. And you'll get notifications if you also subscribe as well. The bell icon will actually give you a notification either on YouTube or on your phone when a video is posted. So those are handy. But if I've earned your subscription, definitely hit that subscribe button. And if not, go ahead and like the video. It helps out the channel. We're a new channel, so every kind of interaction helps. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Later, Gators.